Sa Cala is a small beach of about 100 meters long. It is located about 2 kilometers from Cala and next to CAPDEPERA. Its name refers to a nearby freshwater source, and it also has an underground flow of cold water that makes seawater less salty than usual. Cala is an old fishing port on the northeastern coast of the island of Mallorca. It became mainly a tourist destination since the 1960s. Before this, Cala was a small fishing port. The original port still exists today, but now there are very few fishermen and many tourists. Cala is located at the feet of the CAPDEPERA lighthouse. It is a small sandy beach 40 meters long and 20 meters wide, surrounded by calm turquoise waters, and a dense pine forest. It is very close to the tourist center of Cala. Cala is the second most important fishing port in Mallorca. It belongs to the municipality of CAPDEPERA. It is in the heart of an area particularly popular among Germans, who often buy a vacation home in this town. This is the CAPDEPERA lighthouse. It is located in the eastern part of Mallorca. It was designed by the engineer Emily Poo and came into operation on November 30, 1861. From this place on clear days you can see the island of Menorca. According to historians, here Jaume I, the conqueror, in 1231, awaited the return of the emissaries that he sent to Menorca, in order to impose the Muslim surrender of the island. Very close to the lighthouse, there is another tower, Torre Esbucada, a defensive tower from the 18th century, and a sentinel on the rocky promontory. The translation from the Mallorquin would be, the collapsed tower. It was built around the year 1700. So called Esbucada because it was partially destroyed by an English frigate in 1808. Cala is part of this incredible natural eastern park. This beautiful cove is located very close to Cala, the beautiful fishing port that we saw before. This beach, along with its neighboring beaches, was declared a natural area of special interest by the Parliament of Balearic Islands, in 1991. Thus avoiding urbanization on the coast and preserving its conservation, therefore its natural and wild environment is still preserved. The impressive dune system of Cala goes into the mainland up to 1 kilometer. Dune systems are vitally important to this especially fragile ecosystem. This environment is declared an area of natural interest, houses an important number of plant species and is the habitat of many terrestrial species. There is a path very frequented by hikers, cyclists and even horseback riding, that goes from Cala to Cala. It is a beautiful route. On one side of the beach, near the rocks, nudism is often practiced. These places are very close to each other, they are between the town of Artá and Cala. This is Cala Torta. The journey to these coves is spectacular. You go through a mountainous area with beautiful views. It is within the protected area of the Eastern Natural Park. It is a not very popular beach since access is difficult. The town of Artá has a fascinating history, a mixture of mythology and reality, according to which its foundation was in the hands of the Arethos, the people who survived the destruction of ancient Troy. Curiously, in present-day Greece, there is also a town called Artá. However, the town of Artá, as we know it today, was founded by King Jalma II around 1302, who wanted to create a hunting ground here, dazzled by the rugged beauty of the place. One of the lesser-known facts about Artá is that it was one of the last towns in Europe to suffer an outbreak of the bubonic plague. What's more, the nearby fishing village Colonia Sant Pere was founded by the survivors of the plague who left Artá to avoid contagion. Artá is located 70 kilometers from Palma, on the northeast coast of the island. From the fortress of the sanctuary you can see the pretty town and the whole wild valley. The great treasure of San Salvador Sanctuary is a small Romanesque carving of the Virgin of uncertain origin, although it is estimated that it was brought from Catalonia. This Virgin is revered by her own and by others, and has become the temple and important center of Marian pilgrimage. Now we head towards the Hermitage of BETLEN. This is the valley where the town of Artá is located, surrounded by mountains and open to the sea. The main feature of this area is the small properties closed by stone walls. The crops par excellence are almond and figs. It is an agricultural and livestock area where the olive tree was once the quintessential cultivation, with many hectares of this tree still remaining. The garrigue is present throughout the mountains, but we can also find small valleys or hills where there are still valuable remains of oak, the typical forest of Mallorca. The Hermitage of BETLEN is located near a cliff, and in the middle of nowhere, about 10 kilometers north of Artá. This construction is from the early 19th century, and invites reflection and silence, far from any disturbance of the society. It is not surprising that it was a small group of hermits who took care of its foundation. At first it was an autonomous hermitage and was under the direct jurisdiction of the Bishop of Mallorca until 1895. Later it was subordinated to the Trinidad of Valldemossa community. In 1989 it was still inhabited by 3 hermits, who lived on agriculture, livestock and the donations they received. In 2010, the remaining hermits, due to their advanced age, left the hermitage to go to the Hermitage of the Trinidad de Valldemossa. This is the small nucleus of BETLEN. It was a small farmhouse in the Muslim era. This farm was bought in 1302, by King Jalma II, who dedicated this land to hunting and populating it with wild boars, deer and pheasants. This place provides spectacular views of the Bay of Alcudia. The area of Colonia St. Pere was originally sparsely inhabited. Most of the land consisted of wooded areas, pine and oak, dunes on the coast and extensive fields of Mediterranean scrub used for grazing, complemented by some agricultural exploitation. The Passeio of Sant Pere, framed in the municipality of Santa Margalida, between Can Picafort and Sant Pere, can give a fairly approximate idea of what the landscape of Colonia de Sant Pere might be like before its founding. Extensive pine forests and heaths next to the garrigue in the dune areas. In addition to having traditionally been a sparsely populated area, there are remains of human settlements of very ancient origin in the vicinity. Precisely in the aforementioned Passeio of Sant Pere there are several megalithic archaeological sites, as well as remains of a Phoenician cemetery, for which is not ruled out that in the area of Colonia of Sant Pere there has been population since antiquity.